What's up, guys? Just going to talk a few minutes about kind of what a recovery day might look like with some hip mobility worked in there as well. So I think a couple weeks ago I had a pretty heavy squat day. Next day the hips were kind of tight, body was kind of sore, and this is kind of what I did to loosen up. So first part of my day, I got my 10 minutes of activity in with an aerobic warm-up. What I did was 5 minutes on the rower, 5 minutes running, nice and easy, not working on going fast, just trying to work on my technique and control my breathing. You can do any combination, you can pick one, you can do a mixture of all three. Just get your 10 minutes in. It's a good way to kind of get a sweat going, get your body temperature up, get ready for the static stretching that you're doing down here. So, and then number two, so this is optional. If you've already done your workout that day, then you could probably omit that. Number two, this one I wouldn't omit. I would start with the dynamic warm-up, just a series of a track style warm-up like we might do, toe touches, hip twists, body weight movement like lunges, push-ups, inchworms, those sorts of things. Just kind of get the body moving and get ready for your hip mobility circuit. So what I did, this is a two-round thing. I wrote it on the board, that way I actually did it. Sometimes if we don't write it on the board, you might be less likely to do it. It's kind of like a workout, so I wrote it on the board, I stuck to it. One thing you'll notice is that I'm holding these stretches for a decent amount of time. So we got a couch stretch to kind of open the hips, a lat stretch to really get all this junk on the entire side of the body, and then a pigeon to kind of get the glutes, hips, and some other things as well. So the whole thing there was 11 minutes. All combined, it was 26 minutes, so less than 30 minutes I got all my work in for the day. But that's basically what it is. We'll go ahead and kind of show you what each thing is here. So the couch stretch, my preference is to do it on a wall. Alright, so your goal here is to get your knee basically where the wall and the ground meet. Right? It kind of takes some flexibility to get in here. I'll show you some other options in a second. But we really want this knee to be all the way back. If you're out here, then you're probably not going to get much out of the stretch. Alright, so make sure that if you've got the flexibility to get here, that you've got that knee pressed in, kind of into that corner there. Alright, and then when you're in this position, there's a couple things that we want to think about. We don't want to hyperextend or let the ribs flare out. We want to stay nice and tight, squeeze the glute, and we're going to hold this position. Try to accumulate 60 seconds, right? If you can do it all at once, that's great. I would maybe at the most break it into 2 30-second intervals, I guess. But the key here, guys, is that we're holding these positions for a long time. That's how you're really going to see some change and feel some change. So this is going to stretch out the hip flexor. It's actually going to give you a good quad stretch, right? Hip flexors run all the way down through the quads. You might actually get something in your psoas here. One little variation of this is to take your arm up, kind of get a good side bend going towards the other opposite side of the room, still making sure that you're engaging the glute and you're staying nice and upright. Okay, so that's the couch stretch. I did a minute on each side, so that's 2 minutes right there per round. The next one, we got our lat stretch. It's actually going to be over here next door. For me, this is a great one. This is a really good way to break up the mobility that we're doing to a lot of hips. This is a way to get some upper body mobility in, kind of break things up. I'm going to grab hand through the band here, good grip, thumb out. Right? I'm going to get in a good position here, head through. I'm going to leave my left foot forward, kind of facing the opposite side of the room, lunge back, and then I'm going to get down to a good long lunge position and really just try to fall away from the pull-up station. Alright, if you do this right, you kind of sink into it, you'll feel all this stuff stretching out, but actually it would go all the way down, side, lateral seam, and actually get some TFL and some other hips involved as well. So you're actually getting a little bit of a hip stretch here as well. Alright, so that's the lat stretch, but you guys can do that or any other upper body mobility that you want to mix in that day. The last part here that I did was the standing pigeon pose. I used a 30-inch box. You can use a shorter box, or you can do it on the ground if you're already pretty flexible, much more flexible than me. Basically, for this one, want to have a box that's about hip height, maybe a little bit lower. Taking your leg up. The goal here is to get your shin kind of parallel to the edge of the box. We want the foot hanging off, right? Want to start with an upright torso and kind of let that back knee drop. You should feel a lot of good, really good stretch here in the upper glute. If you've had any back pain, sometimes this is a really good stretch to kind of alleviate that. You can hang out here for a while. You can also kind of play around with turning your belly button towards your knee, right? Hanging out there for a while, and also go in the opposite direction, hanging out there for a while. Try not to round over too much. I know it might be kind of unavoidable in some of these positions, but really think about maintaining a good posture all the way through. So you can do a variation of that. If you're at your office, right, you can do it on the chair, okay? That works. I've actually done that before. For the couch stretch, if you can't do it on the wall, you can do it on, obviously a couch or a chair. It might be a little bit easier to get into that position if you've got a chair or a box, right? This might be easier than doing it with a wall. But yeah, guys, that's my hip mobility circuit. That's a good kind of active recovery and rest day. If you have any questions, let me know. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks.